Hey tankers, Taugrim here. This is the third video in the Road to Unicum series as I work up to a Unicum account rating. Today we're looking at the T-34-85. This is the Tier 6 Russian medium tank along the T-54 and Object 140 line, which is a tank that you folks have asked to see, so I'm working up that line now. This video I'll showcase not only the strengths of this particular tank, but also talk about how to play the midline as a medium. If you go mid, you have the option of flexing east or west and taking shots on tanks, as well as tanks in the middle of the map, and then you can leverage the hill here as hard cover whenever you want to minimize your exposure. You can back down the hill. Now I move up behind a bush here. I'm trying to stay hull down as much as possible, so I'm not moving over the crest yet until we get some tanks lit. And there's a Fury just to my left who's been spotted. He's on the other side of this wall, but that's destructible cover, so I go ahead and fire through it and pierce the side of his turret. And since I've been spotted and they have 3 arties, I go ahead and back down the hill. Now, one of the important things about playing the midline is you don't want to go up and crest the top of the hill unless you have a really good reason to do so. You know, in general, you want to make sure to kind of work the targets that are on the midline, because if you cross over the midline, if I cross over from F to E, I'll also expose myself to tanks, to fire from tanks that I can't see, particularly in their base around B2, that area. So I'm constantly kind of like moving back and forth and probing and seeing, what shots that I can create. And a lot of these tanks are also playing hull down, except for this one. This KV-13 is nubiciding. He's coming up over the hill and exposing himself to fire from multiple friendly tanks on my side. You'll notice every time after a shot, I go ahead and back up a little bit. That's to try to throw off the aim of the arties. I take a splash hit from artie right there, who injured my gunner. I go ahead and pop my repair kit, and I bounce a shot off the turret from this 59-16. This is one of the strengths of the tank. This tank has a very wide mantlet protecting the turret. And the sides of the turret, the cheeks, are so sloped that they're pretty much auto-bounce. So you'll see several times in the video I bounce shots on my turret. This Fury doesn't know that I'm here, but he's exposing his hull. I go ahead and take a shot at his soft hull, and you'll notice his return shot harmlessly bounces off my turret. I catch the 59-16 on the move, and I know he's going to circle my friendly 3601 heavy tank. So I aim on the opposite side of the 3601, where I already know that light tank is going to circle behind him to, and then get the killing shot there. You'll notice when I fired that the 59-16 wasn't lit, but it was because it was behind a wooden post, and that's destructible terrain, just like that wall earlier that I shot through at the beginning of the match. And any AP or APCR round will easily go through those. A friendly T-37 just foolishly charged 2 enemy tanks. Obviously it doesn't make any sense. In general, you want to follow by the common sense principle of trying to have a good shot on an opposing tank while not exposing yourself to fire to multiple tanks, and especially tanks that are likely there that you can't see. So you notice I'm careful about pushing the midline, and right here I lead a shot right in front of the T-20, and he stopped like right before where I was going to hit him. But as I'm sitting here watching the map, I notice the East City has already been captured, and this T-29 is pushing up, and the T-29 smacks him there for almost 300 damage. So I push up aggressively to the top of the ridge here. The T-20 is distracted, and I get the kill shot. I've been spotted, and I'm looking at the map. Obviously our heavies are advancing toward their base, but it looks like our TDs defending the one line are in trouble, so I go ahead and flex west. And as I'm making my way out here, we notice that there's a T1 heavy who's pushing down on a friendly Boba player driving a Fury, and this heavy makes the same mistake that a lot of players have made throughout this match. He's overexposing his hull. This is particularly egregious because he's in an American tank that has such good gun depression. He can aim down while only exposing his turret. So he does finish off the Fury, but we burned down that T1. He gave up most of his health by just coming over and over chasing a shot. If you look at the map, you can see the mini-map. You can see that 2 of the arties on my side are paying attention to what's going on. They know that the one line has been compromised. They're already moving to the eastern half of the map. Whereas, one of our arties is just sitting in the base. This is very poor map awareness, and you really need to kind of keep your head on a swivel and watch the mini-map at all times, regardless of what tank you're playing, so you can get a sense of the game flow. And you'll see here, I'm going to cut off this Fury because I don't want him to have, easy pot shots on my arties. And I'm flexing over to the western side of the map. As I'm doing so, I'm aware that there is a enemy 3601, and you'll see constantly I'm looking over here, kind of seeing, am I exposing myself to flanking fire from that tank? You'll see me check again right here. And the answer is no, so I can push up on the Fury. Now up to this point, I have taken no damaging shots from anything other than one arty, so I've done a really good job conserving my HP while keeping my gun active throughout the match. But I do a pretty crappy job right here. I kind of carelessly shoot into the Fury, bounce off of his mantlet instead of aiming properly. And as a result, I lost my driver, and I can't recover the driver because I burned my repair kit when I took that splash hit from arty. So now my mobility is pretty compromised, and granted, we have a big lead here, so it's not a big deal, but it means I can't go into the open and kind of like really aggressively pursue the Hellcat. Speaking of the Hellcat, a while back, if you had asked people about the Tier 6 meta, it was all about, Hellcat, pre-split KV-1S, and the Cromwell. And, now with the KV-1S having been split and the Hellcat getting nerfed, it's really helped to show what a gem the 34-85 medium tank is. It has a few things going for it. It has pretty solid mobility, and it has an unusually high amount of alpha for Tier 6 medium. So it does 180 damage on average per shot, which is really good and can allow you to trade favorably with other mediums of the same tier. And as I talked about earlier, the turret is pretty strong. So those three things collectively provide a good basis for tank. And here I get the first shot opportunity on the Hellcat because I already knew where he was because the KV-1 had spotted him, and then the Hellcat rushes his shot, which allows me the easy finish. So the T-34-85, really, an unexpected gem. I've been averaging somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1150 damage per game, just using silver ammo. And in this particular match, I did about 2600 damage to really help carry it for our side, and along with 4 kills and 2 spots. So I will be showing some videos coming up of the T-44, which is the Tier 8 tank further along this line. Let me know your questions and feedback, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.